Hello and welcome back to the ESL One Frankfurt seeding tournament happening here in Cologne in the ESL studio. We're here at the desk joined by Melk, Malini, Toby1 and Sindren. That guy, I don't know, you might have heard of him.
Tobias.
You really don't want to be... it's not his name. His name isn't Tobias.
It's
not actually officially Toby.
Not on my birth certificate. Which I will not make
Sounds like
public
something
knowledge.
Tobias would say.
Yeah, just to buy things.
Just to buy things. Well, we already had the first two games of the day played. Secret beat Alliance, IG beat EG, and now we have VG coming up against Fnatic. However, on this stream, we will be seeing a Cloud9 going up against the guys from VP, so that's going to be a very interesting one. I mean, Cloud9 has been performing absolutely stellar as of late, and VP also showed some really, really good games. I don't know.
Cloud9 do have one problem, though, which is the fact that Bone7 is not here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He couldn't make it to the seeding. He will be here for the... not here. He will be in Frankfurt for the official tournament. But he had a surgery or something?
He had dentistry.
Dentistry.
Done.
Dentistry happened in his mouth.
Dentistry is like he's taking a course in dentistry. No, he's having dental work done, and he's not allowed to fly. And they also didn't see the advantage of having him play online with 4 guys on LAN, so they decided to use a local stand-in. Pass. Yeah,
but I mean, Fata and Misery, they will both be very comfortable playing with Pass. They have been playing with him last TI.
But Pass is a support player.
That is correct.
Yes, actually, we asked him a question yesterday at dinner. Because we asked Misery, he's like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, are you going to play offlane now? He's like, well, I'd like to play offlane, but isn't there much point? Like, I should play like the role I'm meant to be playing kind of thing, and then Pass has to fit into that role. So the rumor is he's just replacing the offlane hands down, and Pass will go offlane.
A question I'm more curious about is who's doing the draft now. So we talked about this at dinner last night. We actually went out to dinner with Misery yet again after you had been to dinner with him. And Pass.
Misery had dinner
twice. One meal not enough.
No, so...
or you dessert.
Because Bone7 has been the designated drafter for them in more recent days, and so I think Misery will actually be the one to take over today.
Could be EE. I think he drafts occasionally. He used to draft. No, EE.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be either one of them.
He used to do all the drafting, but didn't he want to like take that off so he could focus on his own gameplay?
I think Danish players in general just have a lot of good input to come with in terms of the draft.
Sindren, do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Oh, okay, of
Generally.
course. Generally
speaking.
You know,
especially
we had to divide the Danes with the Swiss person in the middle.
I think they're usually pretty cocky and think they know a lot.
Yeah, they're known to be very humble.
Damn, got him.
Very, very humble, though.
Anyways, go on with Misery.
I mean,
you're right about Milk, though, Ben. That's true.
Anything else you want to add to that, Mark?
No, I'm done here.
Okay. just checking. Okay, I mean, if we look at the team's recent performance, both have been performing really well. However, going up against each other, do we have any history to go by there?
I think it's worth mentioning that Cloud9 is actually the 3 seed going in. It's first seed was Secret, second seed was VG, third is Cloud9, and fourth is EG. So theoretically, Cloud9 should be the favorites, but I think odds would probably be like 60-40 before the Bone7 mishap, and then now it's probably 50-50 with VP's recent win at Dream League as well as Pause, not a true offlane player, which I think is the hardest role to stand in for if you aren't actually an offlane player. Being played for Cloud9.
And I asked him earlier today, they've scrimmed 0 games. They didn't have time because they needed to find him Tuesday night. So he has 0 experience playing with the team in that offlane.
He did have time to eat with us yesterday. Priorities.
Twice.
So there was time to scrim.
Maybe technically they could have found a scrim there. I don't know.
Yeah, but practically that did not happen,
No.
So that will definitely give them a disadvantage, which is very unfortunate since those seeding matches. I mean, it is pretty important to seed well in such a big tournament where you have 8 teams which are of such high tier. I mean, like, we're talking about 7 TI direct invites plus Alliance. So that sounds
just needed to just casually throw that in there.
You know, I would have never thought. I actually have to say that Alliance is going to be an underdog going into a tournament like that. It's actually feels weird to me to even say.
They played pretty well versus Secret.
They really did.
I think it also speaks to the quality of the tournament. I know I said this earlier, but again, if you look at the team list at this tournament, it's ridiculous, right? It has some of the very best teams in the world.
It is a mini TI.
Yeah,
it's really like, it's a prequel to TI.
It's bigger than TI. Not prize pool wise, but as far as crowd wise, it's actually almost double the size crowd wise once we get to the main event in Frankfurt, and we're only using a quarter of the stadium this time around.
Well, I think we're using half of the stadium if you include the stage.
True. And then the archery areas and the pudge wrestling suit areas
And the
behind.
gladiator area.
And the gladiator, yep. That's what it's all about.
We're teasing now.
Well, it's gonna be terrific.
There's one thing I wanted to
shout out
one
to
thing I wanted to mention just in
Wish you were
case.
Troll's back on track.
Am I? Let me know if I'm wrong, but Bone will be playing the main event, right?
Yes.
He will be there for.
Yes.
Well, 100% unless
he's flying
his
in tonight, I
flight
think.
crashes, then he won't.
Okay. That's
So
a very
morbid.
pessimistic outlook on things.
It was his tweet.
so
It was his
dark.
tweet that
Did
said.
he actually tweet that?
There was a tweet basically saying, unless like my flight burns down,
I think you're making that up,
I will
Toby.
be there for the
That
main
doesn't
event.
sound right.
It may not be his exact wording. I might be paraphrasing.
No one would ever say that.
If we go
That's
back to the
totally
actual
in between the
matchup, I
lines.
actually think I'm going to be the bold predictor and say that I actually favor Virtus.Pro. I think
What?
it's...
That's not bold. I favor Virtus.Pro.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just be following the stream of other predictions again. But I think if you look at Virtus.Pro's performance as of late, they have the most synergy of some of the teams here. I really feel like they come together as a unit, and they have, on top of that, a lot of individual performances. Something I think speaks to the quality of all of these teams is their support players are amazing. Like all of the good teams right now have amazing support players. Something we saw last week was Lil.
Yeah, he played out in Dream League. He played out of his mind.
The newest player in Virtus.Pro, absolutely amazing performance on the Rubik especially. So I want to slightly give the edge to Virtus.Pro, even if Bone 7 had been here today, and now especially when he's not. Virtus.Pro is a definite value bet for me.
Especially in like a best of one scenario, because you've just basically, you're going to rely on your synergy, you're going to rely on your teamwork to carry you through. Like EG today, like they actually had that pretty much. Like I don't actually take anything away from EG or IG, like they both played terrific Dota. But here with Virtus.Pro, after looking at the performance at DreamHack, even when they were dead tired, like their games they played in the last day of DreamHack, like God was sick as hell. He was throwing up the entire night before and didn't sleep at all. And a lot of their other players only got like maybe 1-2 hours of nap time before they got to play their games. Some were lucky to get 6. But they ended up playing through 2 best-of-5s and still were able to perform at that level. Now they've had a little bit of time to rest up. God, I believe, is now feeling better. The level of Dota should then increase with their awareness. I'm interested to see how Cloud9 perform up against that. Because like you want to test a team synergy by replacing a player for a team which is already showing wonderful synergy.
Definitely. I mean, VP, by all means, like going into that final at Dream League, they were not to be picked a favorite. Navi beat them already during the group stages, so they were already like on the back foot there. But yeah, they play absolutely fantastic. Lil has been called out so many times on his great Rubik performance, and yeah, now they're here with the full roster. And you know something I really like about that team? Every time we get to talk to FNG, he just does not care about all the other teams and what they do. He's just like, yeah, you know, like we just want to do that, so we did that. Worked out great. So
it's always great to ask
amazing.
him about post-game analysis.
Oh yeah,
why did you pick those heroes? Well, my team telling me pick this hero, it's good, and I'm like, okay, it's good.
Yeah.
So
Why would I not pick Visage?
Okay.
That has been a CIS mentality throughout the history of Dota, stemming all the way back also to Virtus.Pro. They probably have the richest history in the Dota scene. If you go back in Dota 1 days, they've always had this approach to the game. You know, we don't really care what the enemy does. We'll just do our thing, and we're sure it's going to work. And it always has. You know, not to the point where they would actually win a TI, but still to the point where they're a top team and always have been. And that's why I love watching CIS Dota. I think that's why a lot of people love watching, you know, Russia, Ukraine, and so forth battle it out. They're all very, very confident in their own aggressive play, and I love watching that.
So you guys are expecting very aggressive play, or like we had in the first game, maybe something a bit more passive, since it is a best of one?
I think we're going to see VP play similar to what IG did in the first 20 minutes of that game, and then, or maybe 30. It was a pretty long time. That was a pretty long game.
Going on.
Yeah, that's the most likely for me, I think, whereas Cloud9 will try to play a little more strategic split pushing kind of style and maybe try to even dodge fights entirely if they can.
Yeah, I think it's way easier to break a team in the first 20 minutes if you think that they might like teamwork because of the stand-in with a very aggressive strategy. Like Undying would be perfect for VP, but as you said, what IG did in the first little bit of the game, maybe not with as greedy of a pick as a Phantom Lancer, but just fighting very often, make them 5-on-5, like 10, 15 minutes into the game, and with their better teamwork, try and overcome Cloud9.
Is there a certain playstyle that you expect to come out from Cloud9, especially knowing they have a stand-in? in the past, like Bone7 has a record of playing heroes on his offlane that isn't necessarily meta favored, but is more Bone7 favored. So, do you think that changes in the drafting phase now? Do you think
definitely? I think Bone7 is very integral to. I mean, firstly the draft as well as their whole entire playstyle. Like even back to the like BOT first Batrider days, where it's just very unique playstyle coming from him. Like them picking Legion Commander, even when she's like not very popular. So I think things are going to be very difficult for them.
Okay, I see a lot of head nodding going on, so I assume everyone agrees with that statement.
What about the other matchup that we're not going to see?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We've been focusing on one of the two matches.
Fnatic going up against VG Gaming. That's the other game we're going to see on the other stream, so make sure to tune in.
ESL joined at red.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
On your resource knowledge. you got Durker as well as NIP's Hansken, who are doing the casting over there. And they already did their previous game too.
VG 65-35? Maybe 70-30. I still think they're a pretty clear favorite for that matchup, but it's the best of one. So
I think the most important factor here is that if there's a team that can upset top dogs, it's Team Malaysia. You know, they always bring a performance that you're not quite sure of. You know, they can be for a top team fairly mediocre, or they can just be standout performances, especially from a player like Mushi, right? You know, sometimes he just sits down and he's like, I want to win this game, and then he wins the game. You know?
Sometimes.
I think there's very few players that have that ability to simply just take the entire team on his back and do every move right in the game, basically. And Mushi is one of those players, individually probably one of the strongest players in the world when he wants to be. And then at other times, you know, the team is just sort of mediocre to watch and rolls over, not easily by any means, but they'll eventually lose out just because the other teams are slightly better in this tournament.
They've moved Mushi away from support, right? They switched that around. I can't remember when they did. It's been maybe a month ago or a few weeks. Have they been stronger or weaker since then? Because he used to play support and do the drafting for the team. I think he's still drafting.
At X Games, their performance was rather
on day one of X Games, we sat there looking at the draft, and they basically got destroyed.
Yes.
Like, absolutely destroyed. And then they came back in their second game, and then they destroyed. So it's I don't think you can even get really a read on Fnatic. They're very hot, they're very cold. It just depends which temperature they want to turn on.
But I mean, it doesn't hinge on one player. Just because I call out Mushi as being this great player, you know, they have KYXY, they have Ohio, they have amazing players. And then Ketchigemba on the support has really been stepping up his game. I think he's one of the most... Again, it comes back to supports. So many noteworthy support players in this tournament and in the pro scene in general. I feel like we were talking about this as well, how Glimmer Cape has sort of made the support era in a sense. I think Glimmer Cape might be way too strong.
Even after a mega nerf, it still seems really good.
Yeah.
But even then, like if you don't take the Glimmer Cape into account, it's still amazing performances individually coming out from support players in every tournament we see. And I don't think this will be any different. I think games will come down to how well the supports perform, not how well the carries perform.
Yeah, I mean, Ketchigemba on his Lina, he really showed some amazing games there. So it's definitely something to look out for. So yeah, I guess we can all agree that this is a hard one to predict, even though Cloud9 has a stand-in. If you guys would play with a stand-in, would that just make you go for like rather passive stuff?
I think I can't remember if it was Ben or Jacob that said it, but you play around you try to play as your team, and then you let the stand-in adapt to what you do, right? Was that you, Ben? Was that the? All right, I can't.
I don't think either one of us said that, but
okay, you said, okay, let's roll it.
It's an interesting point because I slightly agree, but I also tend to disagree because it comes down to the role that you're playing. Obviously, if he's playing the support role, yes, then your stand-in have to adapt to what your team does. But if you pick up an amazing player on the mid lane, then it's much easier for a team to play around him and make sure that he gets his own his snowball rolling, basically.
But in this case, he's off lane, and I think that's where the rest of the team.
Are we sure of that? Is that like a confirmed thing?
I don't know. I talked to him 2 hours ago, and he said he's going to play off lane.
Oh,
I
okay.
think so.
Okay.
But I can't.
Then
it's not 100% certain.
I think that's sort of the signal they're sending is that you're on your own, bro. And then if you do well, fine, come join us. And if not, hopefully the 4 remaining members can pull through.
I think it's a better decision than, let's say, putting Misery on the offlane and putting Pass in the support duo, because the support duo is so much about teamwork and like having that dynamic going between you. And Misery and No-Tail have been playing together for quite a long time now. So if you just throw Pass in there and you put Misery on the offlane, I think the entire dynamic of the game just changes. Whereas if you put Pass in there, maybe he doesn't do the same stuff as Bone7 does, but you can still put him on some of Bone7's comfort heroes and draft your usual strats, and then try to lead him in the game and put him in a.
But if he's like a Clockwork or something, something, the style is completely different from offlaner or offlaner. They it's just night and day. Whereas if he's on the second support, you can just be like, okay, no tail, you tell him what to do, and I think that would be much more fluid of a transition. I mean, I think if this were like maybe a week-long stand-in instead of a one-game stand-in, they might switch. But since it's only one-game thing, I don't know. The offlane
one-day thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's just you.
No,
it's so
agree.
hard to
like,
play around.
The smartest choice is definitely keeping him in the role that is missing, basically. So on the offlane in this case. But as Ben is saying, I also think it has some credibility to it that it's easier to put him in as a part of the wheel rather than putting him as you know, something that might jump in and work with the rest of the wheel.
Maybe they just play aggressive trial lanes with Pass, then they solve the problem. Then he's with the supports and he's playing offlane.
That would work.
I mean, it's possible.
Does that expose the problems a little bit more, though? Like, you got to get that perfect synergy if you got chain stunners or whatever.
I mean, you leave Eternal Envy alone. That's something I would be questioning to see.
Yeah, they very rarely do that, actually.
Yeah.
Never.
Like, even
Like never.
even back from, you know, it's very obvious in Envy's playstyle that it's something that he definitely prioritizes, that you keep, you know, when he played support, you cater to the carry, which back then was Loda. And now that he's the carry player, you still cater to the carry, but now he's the carry that you cater to. And I can't remember even watching him play a game where he's soloing.
Well, they could do it the other way.
He's played Invoker before.
Just run the aggro trial lane with Envy.
But then Pass is still on his own.
Then Pass is still on his own, though.
Yeah, you still got him on his own, but at least he's like just get a favorable matchup. And then he's got the safety of his own lane, which you can bring your supports back to. So once you have Envy on a hero which he can survive by himself, once you get a little bit of farm, or you crush the lane so heavily that you're going to be okay, then you can switch it back. So you got some options to play with.
I don't think Envy's a good aggressive trial lane player, though. I feel like the couple of times I've seen it from Cloud9, it's really not worked that well. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Does Cloud9 run aggro trial
actually,
lane
wait,
at
the Summit they did do it, right? They did an aggressive trial lane. They had the Caudal Naga +1 lane. Do you remember that game, Ben?
I think I do.
They did do that.
Well.
I think Envy was actually in that trial, and they rolled them. Yeah. So maybe it's a possibility. Now that I think about it.
Another alternative is just give him a hero that fights a lot in the off lane and just have him run around with the two supports like Undying or Bounty Hunter or something like that instead of an Initiator. I think that might actually be a lot better for them.
All right, so I see there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of speculations. What they're going to end up doing is a big question mark. However, if you go up against teams such VP, which doesn't really react to whatever you do anyway, so, I mean, that should heavily weigh in VP's favor then, shouldn't it?
It
maybe all etheric crafting doesn't matter because VP are going to just do an aggressive quad lane or something. So like whatever.
Just on the mid tower 5 mid.
Yeah, it's like 5 mid. Let's go.
It's just possible. Like, okay, Cloud9, like the most dangerous team is a team that has nothing to lose. Like they just come in, they do whatever the hell they want to. If they win, they win. Maybe they get a great seeding. If they lose, they lose. And then they just hope they get a decent matchup when they focus on the main event. Where Virtus.Pro then, like, if they're not ready for Cloud9 throw at them, this is a best of one. You could just instantly lose the momentum and Cloud9 just roll through. And the best way to get a person who's not familiar with the way your team plays, just give them a crap ton of farm.
Yeah, I think
and then you win by economy.
The most important thing to take from this is that it's important for them not to, you know, get distraught by the fact that they might lose today. You know, they'll probably go in with the mindset that whatever happens today, let's just make the best of it, but not get knocked out of, like, mentally knocked out just because we're losing. You know, let's not take too much away from today, and let's not be stressed out by the fact that we lost.
I think even if they do place like bottom 2, let's say, I don't think teams really want to pick them as a seed, as the first round matchup.
Oh no, they're a...
Yeah, so I think it's even if they get like 7th or 8th, it's still okay because
I mean, if you look at all those teams, it's not really like you can pick one and be like, oh yeah, that's a guarantee win for me, because even if some teams are performing better than others at the moment, it's still everything open there. Like there is no team where you can really say like, oh no, that's an easy win.
No, I think
what 3 teams would you pick over Cloud9 then, Ben?
Alliance, VP, and Malaysia.
Okay.
It's Fnatic, yeah.
Because
Fnatic.
So then if that's the mentality you don't go in with the mentality that it doesn't matter whether we win or lose, right? But if that's what the other teams think, then Cloud9 would be ending up in the last matchup, which would then be the 4th place team versus them if they're not 4th, right? Then the question is who you would expect to face 4th and blah, blah, blah. I mean,
I think
you can't predict it anyway, so they have to try.
A lot of it is like trying to figure out, like for the top teams, the favorites to take these seats, right, and be able to choose your opponent, a lot of them is banking on the fact that the other top teams will be there as well. So if you're, for instance, let's say Secret, they're probably a favorite right now. depending on their performance today, obviously. But one of the reasons they really want to win is because maybe, say they fear VG Gaming a lot. If they feel that's their strongest opponent, what they want to make sure is that they're on the other end of the bracket than them. You know, we don't want to run into the biggest threat to us, theoretically, until the grand final.
Yeah, so that would be the lower part of the bracket then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the teams play more for avoiding single teams rather than being able to choose out weaker teams. I think it's all about which teams you prefer not meeting up against that you're playing for today.
And the bracket will go like first seed, second, third, fourth,
yes,
right?
Yes, exactly.
No, 1 and 2, and then.
No. 2 is all at the bottom.
1, 2, 4, 3.
1, 2, 4, 3. Yeah,
yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Good.
We're just drawing that in the air. I'm sure that's
very
visible to the camera.
There's no way number 1 or number 2,
like
number 1 and number 2 seed cannot face each other until the grand final.
Yes.
That's basically what it comes down to.
But then the question is, if Secret want to avoid that scenario, what if VG Gaming don't get second if Secret gets first?
They get fourth.
That's unfortunate then.
SCII chipping in, giving a little cheer over the fact that we are...
I mean, we have prime seeds right here, right? We can just look at the players playing. So we once more going to show you the seeding bracket here on screen. Again, Team Secret and Invictus Gaming are meeting up after Team Secret was winning against the Lions, and Invictus Gaming just took that game off EG. A very long game, 46 minutes in case you missed it. So yeah, make sure to check out the VOD once it's up. And we're going to see on this stream Cloud9 going up against Virtus.Pro, and VG Gaming will be facing the guys from Fnatic. They are currently sitting in front of us, so we can look at all the emotions boiling high.
Yeah, there's already a little bit of chit-chat going on between SCII and all of Team Malaysia.
Everything, yeah.
Team Malaysia and VG Gaming sitting in front of us being ready, and then Chuan comes by and says out loud, Malaysia Boleh. So, a bit of support to his countrymen.
But we actually worked out when Secret and Alliance ended, because Secret just got up and walked away from their computers.
Yeah.
That was like halfway through our last game. Yeah, we're still waiting on the other computer, by the way, so...
It's always excruciating watching S4 giving, like, handshaking the rest of Alliance. Like, when in this case, Secret beat Alliance, you know, S4 goes over, wants to shake the hand and everything. It's the feels, there's a lot of emotions tied into this. S4, of course, being their former mid player and / captain. Okay, no one... Only I have strong feelings about this.
No, I am nodding because I agree.
Okay.
I did not see it out there.
There's just no vocal agreement.
I was actually crying.
On the inside. It was very intense. Yeah.
Cool story, Milk.
Thank you.
I mean, really, like, the scene has been around long enough that a lot of players have already been playing with a lot of the other players, so it's not really that much of a grudge thing anymore.
No, it's definitely not a grudge thing. It's just, you know, a lot of people will probably always remember the famous Alliance lineup of TI3, obviously, for playing probably the most interesting grand final in eSports history, and then because they were such a dominant team of the era, so the fact that he's now one of the only missing members of the old Alliance, you know.
I mean, EGM was rooting for them really hard in the qualifiers. He was very emotionally invested, and if you've ever seen EGM in person, he doesn't care about anything.
Yeah, no,
it was so surprising to see him like really intently concentrated on something. Like, even when he plays Dota, he's like, you know, pretty chill, pretty relaxed. But during that series, he was more energetic, more hyped, more excited than anything I've ever seen him do.
He drank his sorrows away that night that Alliance lost.
Yeah.
But like, Alliance is one of those teams. They're not a team, they're a family. Like,
yeah,
exactly. That's the feel
I think that's a great
involved.
point, and something Kelly you know often points out on Twitter if you follow her, that it's a family. You know, they're probably one of the most, like, of the established pro teams. They're one of the most friendly towards each other, and I think that is that carries through. Even though S4 is now with Team Secret, I still think he's a close part of that family or that friendship.
Still like second cousin or something. So that's still good. He's still invited for the weddings. So. No, but yeah, I think that's definitely something like some of those teams got going for them. Do you feel like that's something a team needs to be successful, like being all like super friendly and like best buddies with each other, or do you not really feel like that's necessary?
I think the most important thing is respect. Like, whether it's in terms of friendship or in terms of professionalism, you need to be able to criticize each other, take criticism, and actually look at things constructively, right? So
I think Ice is applauding himself.
Whether it's
that's how you do it.
I think over the course of history, the most successful teams haven't necessarily been best of friends. Alliance is a good example for me of how that model can work.
And
but there can also be other teams.
You know, without knowing too much, I think Navi might be one of the examples of the opposite, where there's a lot of respect and there's a lot of history, and you know they all feel like they're some of the best at what they do. But they're not necessarily that close in terms of friendship. Or like I'm talking former Navi, the very dominant era of Navi, always ending up in grand finals Navi.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't have any idea though if that's true, do we? Are we just assuming that?
There's a lot of speculation.
Oh, you asked the question, we answered. What more do you want?
Just saying. Also, I want to quickly mention that the other game just started, so make sure, of course, to have both of the streams open, as Fnatic and VG Gaming are currently in the pick and bans. We once more going to head into a break, and then we should hopefully be back with our game as well, so don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to the ESL One Frankfurt seeding tournament here live from Cologne in the ESL studio. And our game is finally underway, Virtus.Pro going up against the guys from Cloud9. We made many speculations here on the desk prior to the break, and let's see how much of that will actually come true.
Yeah. We can find out. The draft's already underway.
We can, and the first two bans already happened as well.
Quick summary.
Yes.
Quick summary of predictions.
I didn't make one.
I don't think we made predictions.
Can you make one?
All right,
Virtus.Pro?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we meant to predict at the end of the draft.
No,
Isn't that what you were complaining about last time?
You demanded
okay,
it.
let's do
You
that.
demanded that. Okay, so we're going to wait.
I listened to what you say.
Thank you, Toby.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Isn't that just nice? But yeah, the first few bands are already going out, and then afterwards we're going to grab the predictions, so it's all fair and square.
That's
and
not fair to do it after the draft.
Yeah, that's
the
what
same
I
for
told him.
everyone.
No,
That's
the Blitz challenge. That's the Blitz challenge. The Blitz challenge is at the end of the draft, you predict who wins and when they win.
When they win
When
as
they
well.
win?
Yep, you got to predict when they win as well. That's the Blitz challenge.
All right.
That's challenging.
Whatever Ben says, plus 1 second.
But should be working. Let's head into the draft and actually take a look at what the teams are picking and banning, as the first 4 bans already went out.
Great.
So we see the Tusker ban again.
Yeah.
I think this is...
10 seconds.
Did I say that last time around? This is going to be the flavor of the tournament, either banning it out or first picking it.
5 seconds.
I know it's also picked up over in the Fnatic versus VG Gaming game. So...
Queen of
I'm surprised VP were the team to ban it, though, with first pick. I thought they would want to get that even maybe over Quap, but they're just...
Their stats on Quap are a lot better, though. They actually, in the last 50 games, haven't even played Tusker that much. Yeah, just to throw it out there.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying the performance from Lil at Dream League with Tusk, I think they had it 2 games, was outstanding. So, but it is true that even in that tournament, I don't think they even, if they first phase picked it, it was definitely the second hero, but I think most games, maybe even second phase. So perhaps it's just shifting a little bit, and it's a totally different like drafting order against these teams than the ones they played in Dream League, which were, of course, completely different teams apart from Alliance.
So Beastmaster, normally an offlane hero, but we know that when Cloud9 plays this is in the hands of Fader. Do you feel like this is a respect ban? Just by how dominant he actually is whenever they get the Beastmaster?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Okay, well, glad we settled that. No need to clarify.
Misery's taken a long time to pick up these next 2. It's like I said, he wasn't even expecting the Queen of Pain pick to come.
That would be weird not to expect that, though, given like the ratio they have with it. I mean, they have 7 wins, 4 losses on it in the last 50 games they played professionally. So that's pretty good. It's one of their most picked heroes, actually.
It's just one of the most picked heroes in general, too.
Yeah.
So
when they pick up the Shadow Fiend, when that is the response, is that because they are worried that it's going to be banned out in the next ban phase? Because the threat of Virtus.Pro picking up Shadow Fiend at this point in time, after they already committed to the Queen of Pain, doesn't really seem that big. So
yeah, they're scared of it getting banned.
Yeah, okay. And then the Rubik pickup coming out for Lil, obviously.
The Shadow Fiend Quap match was pretty interesting. I think Quap has the potential to snowball really quickly, but if she doesn't get a kill by like level 5, I think Shadow Fiend actually has a really big
yeah,
edge.
it's almost impossible for the Quap to even stand in lane and get CS.
Right.
There's a couple of things. They're Radiant, so Shadow Fiend has access to the camp, even if he has a hard lane. And in addition, you cloak up the rest of your draft, right? Even if it's not that great of a matchup, I think it gives more information away at the current point in time if they show either their carry or their secondary support. Like if they would have picked the support duo of which one is Bounty Hunter, VP could plan a lot around that. Whereas now they just know it's a roaming support, but yeah.
What are they going to get for EE though? I thought they might like pick a gyrocopter, but then they might want like also a PL. I think those are like the 2 really, really hot carries right now.
Well, he's not going to get PL.
He's not
PL just got banned out now. So that option's not there.
What else does he play frequently?
I mean, he doesn't play Shadow Fiend, but I'm not always against putting a Shadow Fiend on a safe lane.
Oh, I think that could definitely work.
I think that can benefit for a lot of teams. We've just never really seen EE do it in particular.
I'm just thinking about the heroes he plays most. It's
I mean,
it's
Razor,
be...
PL, Gyro, and Quap are actually the ones he's been picking the most.
Okay. So they haven't been playing much Jugger at all in later times, and
not
Luna
really.
neither. Luna is not that strong right now, I guess, so probably not going to see that. Unfortunately, it's a really cool hero. But, all right. So what's left out of those heroes then? Gyro and...
Gyro is the obvious
was that the only one? You said Gyro, Quap, PL, and
Razor.
Razor. Okay, so Razor's still in. But he is not a good pick right now, I think.
He's decent.
He's decent.
He's not good against Quap. He's okay against Rubik,
What do you base
I
the
guess?
fact that he's not good against her? He's tanky and he has his passive that is really annoying to play against for spellcasters. So both Rubik and Queen of Pain, you know, There's no Shadow Strike initiate. I don't feel like
That's true.
he can be blasted down by Queen of Pain combo that fast. He's also decent against Visage. I don't feel like Razor is necessarily a bad pickup. Sorry to disagree with you.
He got better because of Visage, I would agree. It's double single target abilities
But
that he
then
can
again, Gyro
customize.
got even better.
Yeah, I think Gyro was a good pick, all in all. Just safe pick for Cloud9, good pick for the team, good pick overall. And VP, they're not scared of the Gyro. They actually pick Visage into it, which is generally considered...
They might just do a Drow lineup.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. You got
scary.
3
They could do
Rangers
that,
with
yeah.
a Drow on the safe.
It's actually the 2 teams in the tournament that have the most success with Drow lineups, Drow Visage lineups. Both of them really seems to favor this kind of strategy whenever they can. Obviously, that race is long over for Cloud9 with their picks, but Virtus.Pro is still all in the open. Something I expect to come out of Cloud9 right now would be an Earthshaker. I think that's a great pickup. They sort of need something to bind their 5-on-5 together and make sure that they can get past the...
So offlane Shaker or offlane Bounty? Because they just picked Lion.
I would probably be prone to put Bounty Hunter offlane just because it's one of the easier heroes to get away with on the offlane. He can still be very useful regardless of how he does on the offlane, assuming he gets 6.
Where's Undying been?
5 seconds remaining.
Undying's actually completely ignored.
Yeah, but again, that's a hero that where you need to come together as a team and sort of bind your play together. So not necessarily the strongest pickup for Pass.
But VP could use it.
Yeah,
that's true.
I was about to say, don't get it for Cloud9, because I think he is not good against Drow Visage lineups, actually. They have so much physical damage, and they kind of... Even if you have the Tombstone, you kind of want to fight it, I think. You have Birds, Drow, multiple heroes with good right-click damage. You can get rid of it pretty quickly, and... I don't know.
Well, it's more important to pick up the Drow Ranger. If you're going for that strat, you need that Drow to... You know,
at the same time, VP have been very happy to run the Visage without the Drow. Like,
yes.
Like they've done that time and time again.
Yeah.
And it's just like they pick up the hero because like we've had however many games with the Visage that we've won, so they just don't care. Like,
so what do you think is the like? Obviously, a ranged hero would benefit just from the Drow aura, but what are the remaining offlane heroes to go from right now? And they could even aggressive, right?
They could also offlane the Quap.
They could offlane the Quap. They could even safe lane the Quap and go aggressive.
Yep.
So there's a lot of options for Virtus.Pro right now.
Could you get away with a Wind Ranger in this draft?
Oh yeah, easily. I think
You could
Wind
do that
Ranger
for
would
G.
be...
I think that would be nice.
Be pretty strong, regardless of whether you put him in the middle lane or on the off lane.
Yeah.
You've got so much damage from... they are actually going to pick the
Envy.
Undying.
We're hearing Envy coming in
Alright.
through. It's like
There's
they're
the
not
Undying.
going this.
Yeah, we've seen a lot
I didn't
recently
hear it
that the
here.
Bounty Hunter is being played as a 4 support, so not too surprised, even as a 5. Whether or not it's the Undying or the Bounty Hunter that's on the off lane right now is still a bit up in the air, but I tend to...
It's going to be the Undying of the offlane, because the Bounty Hunter is going to be looking for the bottle snipe as well. Like, there's going to be a roaming bounty in the game.
On the other hand, though, they might be fearing that aggressive tri-lane, and what better way to shut that down than an Undying? So,
Yeah.
Because if they go greedy, you know, Lion by no means is a strong hero to have against a tri-lane. His spells takes time. You need them leveled before they actually do something, and it's incredibly hard hitting an impale on 3 heroes.
Yeah.
I think VP might be a little bit sad that Centaur was banned out. It was one of those heroes which I know you cast a lot of at DreamHack too. It was that disengage for Virtus.Pro. Anytime Cloud9 try and go for it, the option isn't there, but they get one way to engage in. It's going to be the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, just VP in their offlane are a fairly predictable team. They run Darkseer and Centaur whenever they can. Both of them were the 2 last bans of Cloud9, and if they can't do that, they tend to get Spirit Breaker. We saw one time Kunkka, I think, in that tournament where they lost. And by the way, last time they ran Drow Strat in Dream League, they lost to Navi. So
All right, predictions?
VP.
In...
Wow, we're actually going to fully do this, are we?
Yeah. All right, we need to at least have like 2 minutes between us, else you're just going to up it by 1 minute or something. Or 1 second. That's lame.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's
All right,
a
I'll
good
say
condition.
VP 28 minutes.
Okay.
Gee.
I'm going to say VP 38.
38.
How many minutes do we need?
VP by 38.
2 minutes in between. You need a 2-minute buffer.
I don't know, man.
Okay, get back to Zoe.
I
Ben.
don't know.
I don't know, man.
VP 31.
Yeah. I'll do VP 25 then, just because you took my, you
25?
actually took my exact time tools.
You wanted 28?
Yeah.
Damn.
But this way I get 25 and down, so that's fine.
Why don't you do 26?
I actually think it's going to be a
now-
longer.
oh,
I
now
actually
she
think it's
can't.
going to be a longer game.
So none of us believe that Cloud9's team fight is strong enough to repel the VP
No,
push.
Zoe
Zoe
is
Zoe
going to
does.
say
Zoe always
Cloud9
goes
and
against
Oh, do I really have
anytime,
to
and
take
she's going to be right again.
I guess I have to
You're
take
up
Cloud9.
already. You have the only point so far.
Yes, but still, I feel like VP should take that. However, I don't think it's going to be that quick of a game for them. Because, yeah, I don't know.
It just looks for VP's lineup that their initiation's going to
Make a
get
prediction,
nice.
Zoe.
Yeah, you got to get in.
Oh,
We're starting,
goddammit.
Zoe.
Okay, for the odds, I take Cloud9, but really my heart is with VP. And I say Cloud9 is going to... They're going to drag it out long.
So,
And I feel...
So
70.
70 minutes for Cloud9.
So he says Cloud9 in 70.
Yeah.
All right, so
Perfect. So, let's do it. It's perfect.
That's not what I said.
all right, Cloud9 70.
Yeah, all right. So good luck, boys. Nice for predictions, and good luck also, girl.
Thanks.
Evie's actually poking fun as well at VP. I don't know if people were watching the recent stuff, but there's a couple of players on VP that sell all their items and just buy nothing but like circlets and stuff at the end of the game. So they're scoring with Dota, with all the Dota stats.
Oh yeah, Lil always drops all his items and buys something dumb.
Yep.
Like he won a game with like 5 rings of protection or something the other day. So, yep. That's a good question from Envy.
That's the beauty, and you get a little smile back. But Virtus.Pro, let's quickly move through our lanes. So we'll have Bounty Hunter. He'll be on the top lane for Cloud9, played up by Notel. More than anything else, he is in fact going to be moving around that jungle of Virtus.Pro and potentially looking for the bottle snipe. Past the stand-in for Cloud9. He's the Undying, looking to be a lot more durable with the extra consumables that he's got to go to the top lane. Fader in the mid. He'll be playing up that SF role. And then down south, it'll be Lion's Misery and Eternal Envy's Gyrocopter to run this safe lane.
I'm going to really have my eyes on this mid lane. I think G has proven over the last months that he is one of the most mechanically strong mid laners, and he's going to have a matchup where he can definitely shine here with his Queen of Pain against the Shadow Fiend. Looks like Notel will be helping him out, though, even...
I like God's instant approach. Actually, Notel knew... I don't know if Notel knew it was coming or not, but the Sentry Ward went down from God, and he instantly had his own Sentry Ward to counter the dire Sentry Ward.
It's so insane that you can tangle wards. Yes.
There's a good man.
Oh, G could be in some decent trouble.
Yeah, but he's got FNG right behind him. Actually, they're dragging Notel in range of the tower, allowing God to get a couple more hits in. So they're both as injured as each other. So we've just turned this dual lane in the mid lane to a dual lane.
I believe we need to introduce the rest of VP.
We probably should.
So top lane, we've got Lil on his trademark Visage, one of his absolute best heroes. And of course, Illidan will be playing as Drow. Then Rubik, handled by FNG. And then finally bottom lane, DK Phobos will be playing as the Spirit Breaker. And we already have some shenanigans in the dire jungle. Big Daddy No-Tail being super annoying to FNG. It's really frustrating for a hero like Rubik to have this happen, because you really can't do anything apart from just run away. He has no true sight. He doesn't stand a chance in the fist fight.
He can't even set a trap in the middle lane waiting for it all, because if he does that, then, he can't, because the Sentry Ward's already been taken out. God, that's a big jump in. Is there a Shadow Strike? Yeah, will be. First Blood going the way of God. Notel does arrive towards the middle lane, but it's all a little bit too late for him. The first blood's already been spilt. You say mechanically sound, also check out top lane. Pass on the run, you got double slows from both the Grave Shields whilst the Cold Arrows pass with the Soul Rip available. Do they have enough damage to finish the job? Yes, they do. Virtus.Pro, not only do they kill off the mid solo, they take out the off lane solo. And
Paz even used his salve in a desperate attempt to survive that last Frost Arrow, and had he survived that one attack, I think he would have lived entirely. I don't think they could have got a single more hit off than that final arrow from Illidan. But ultimately ends up wasting that too, and that means his way back into the lane now, he's pretty crippled on both Regen and Golden Experience right now.
And he's not going to get any support. Notel hasn't really achieved as a bounty hunter what you want to. He's got the levels, that's fantastic. I'm not going to take that away from him. But the problem is, he didn't stop the Queen of Pain. The bottle was picked up already from the Quap, so that's 100% secured. You come back up to the top lane, but you already got a level 3 Drow Ranger. And they're already... Actually, I like this build from Illidan. It doesn't happen a lot where you get 2 points up on the Cold Arrows. Lil might have to try and help out his teammate. Actually, yeah, now with level 2 Cold Arrows, they ensure the kill. These Cold Arrows are so damn powerful. They know they can kill off the Undying. He can't outrun this. And then with the Dust also available, they can move over to Notel. Now, Undying's got no life to speak of. Notel trying to deny himself off to the Trolls, and he can't do it in time. Lil will get the last hit in. It's 3-0 in favor of Virtus.Pro. And this is not the way they, C9 saw their lanes going down. Maybe they can get some revenge here on Phobos. The Earthspike stuns, the Rocket Barrage, but Spirit Breaker, insanely tanky. They have the Hex, Rocket Barrage have cooldown in 1 second, and this is the death of Phobos. He knew it. So at least C9 gets something back.
Good play by Misery to hold on to the Hex there and wait a little bit. If he casts the Hex instantly after the Earthspike, Charge will be able to take Spirit Breaker off to safety, but instead he buys time for a second Rocket Barrage to become available, and they do grab that kill. A little bit of a comeback in the bot lane, but they're still struggling quite a bit. I want to say Fata is doing a decent job in mid, though, considering that he got killed so early by G. He's still keeping up in farm. But
considering he's also going to go up against a lot of extra damage, too. Because I want to keep my eyes even closer on... Wow, we've actually got, like, Dino in the bubble. They've got one of those nice little rare couriers. But they're giving space to Illidan on the top lane. I feel this is probably more dangerous for Fatal later on, because God's going to find himself with physical damage plus the magical damage combo. No tail to snipe the rune out, and that's just going to have to be a quick blink away by God. Yeah, but Illidan, like, there's not even a support hero near him. Lil's just being allowed to pull because this observer wall is being used for vision and not for blocking. And you got a 21-16 Drow Ranger 4 minutes in. He's loving his CS. Charge also on the way. Pick up, throwing back Fader. In they come, actually knocking No Tail around. Have they got enough damage to kill off God with a Scream? Yes, they do. He gets one raise off, but the secondary sentry will drop. It's 2 for 1. The Rubik will be sacrificed for this. But at the same time, he just ensured another kill over on the SF. 0 for 2 with 1 assist.
Yeah, they rotated in Pass to help out, so both offlaners contributing here. Pass will get the kill in the end, so he gets some much-needed experience heading up to the top lane. By the way, interesting skill build on him that I feel like we don't see that often.
Oh, wow, that TP takes forever. He's fine.
Be all right.
Sorry, the skill build on Pulse?
Yeah, he's 1 and 2 and 0. And most of the time you see Undying skill 1 in each and then maxing Tombstone. But he's focusing on the burst nuke here. Perhaps considering that Cloud9 don't really want to look for the Tombstone in team fights, but rather just try to burst single targets. He's out of this lane. It's just not possible.
I'm still... Illidan's looking for any kind of kill he can get. He went 3 points up in the Cold Arrows on this Drow Ranger. So actually, sacrificing his aura, sacrificing on the Gust, and he just goes directly for, like, kills. Because he didn't even build it, like, because he's not going the aura build for this Drow Ranger. He's going for, I can stand my ground and murder everybody kind of style, because you're not going for the earlier Wraith Bands with the aura level up.
He still got 2 points in the aura, so... The thing is, when it comes to the mid lane, that 3rd point in the aura I don't think makes that big of a difference. G already should be just fine with the 2 kills he's got, and the Spirit Breaker obviously doesn't benefit at all on the offlane. So I do think in this particular case it makes sense to get the cold arrows. I'm not sure, or frost arrows, sorry, I'm not sure if I would have put 3 points in them. I think 2 or 3 would have been just as good of a build. But definitely that movement speed slow. If not right now, it's going to be useful later for sure. G's gonna blink for the rune.
He managed to pick up a haste rune. Misery misses the stun. God, though, doesn't have enough man to go in for the full. Okay, well, they actually have no control after that. And the Spirit Breaker's charging in. God needs space to get the bottle charges off. Here comes your cooldown. Lets the Scream go and then runs away. Phobos might be in a little bit more trouble. Is there any more support? Well, there is for Cloud9. Raise one. He turns for the 17% bash, but not gonna find it. But it's a 1-for-1 trade-off. Yeah, you lost your Spirit Breaker, but God stays alive.
And his individual play with that haste rune was so good. He really pushed it to the limit there with how much he tanked up and how much damage he dealt as a result. It was really beautiful to watch from him.
Envy did make a big rotation in for this. Like, he's now actually taking jungle farm. So it does the stacking. He's got 2 points up in flat cannon, but there's so much experience in the bottom lane, which is just going to waste. The Spirit Breaker was charging down, but actually lost his creep. So the charge got cancelled. He's not going to get back down to that lane very quickly. But in the meantime, Illidan is just ripping apart the CS on the top. I'm not saying it's flawless CS, but right now, he's got more CS than the SF, who I'm fairly certain also took a couple of stacks inside the jungle. Yep. And he's hit level 6 already. The bad hit level 7. Turned on the aura, and they're looking to bring down this tier 1 tower. Just reduce the area of play that Cloud9 has by removing all the tier 1s.
And in addition to that, they're finding the levels on their supports. Drow being level 7, actually maxing out Frost Arrows entirely now with 4 points into that. Bit surprising.
She really wants to be a killer.
Yep.
They're even getting 1 point up in Gus is wonderful, but now Gyro, he's come towards the top lane. Looking for the opening, but cannot find it.
They've rotated Rubik bottom, but there's a really good lane ward here for Cloud9's side, so they will know this is happening.
But with the creep wave underneath the tower, they can charge him anyway. Actually, it's just out of range, so Phobos can't go for it.
If he tries to charge Lion, he's just going to get hexed, and that's the charge out the window. It's a very easy counterplay, instant cast.
You still got TPs and everyone as well. So if Cloud9 want to come back, they can do so. In fact, already Envy's moving in. Like, it's just too much farm, too much gold and experience just sitting on that bottom lane to pass up. Where does Illidan go for his build from here? Like, if you're going a Cold Arrow build, you're going for an aggressive kind of Drow Ranger. You got Treads, 1, and Aquila. You got all your early items. Do you look for what at this point?
I think against the Radiant lineup, it might be enough to get 1 point Gust, and then finish your Aura, and then start getting stats. I think that's what the decision really lies in. I would disagree with not getting a single point in Gust, and you definitely want to max out the Aura when you're running a 4 ranged lineup.
I'm also thinking about item build. Like, is this just a mana style game?
Oh, yeah, that's a... Lil gonna use the Dust?
That's a real good Dust on top lane. N0tail completely exposed this Undying Tombstone, not stopping anything, especially when the Nether Strike and the instant bash on the pass. VP get rid of the Tombstone. They keep Lil alive only barely, but they find the 2 heroes on the top.
So item build for Illidan, I think just a standard farming build is fine. He could go for the Madness build-up if he wants. He can go for Yasha, and then...
The reason why I'm thinking
Yasha into
Manta is at least
BKB, you can't really die this game. There's like no physical damage on the Radiant that's that scary. Shadow Fiend in the early portions of the game is more or less his raises and Requiem. Gyro is a lot about the call down and Rocket Barrage. Sure, you're going to take a couple of stray hits from Flak Cannon and maybe a couple of right clicks from SF, but you have so much armor anyway just from your passive agility gain that you're probably fine with Yasha BKB.
Oh.
He got the point Gust, by the way. So
he did.
I think now it's Aura time.
And Lil's going to be happy as well. They're giving him space to find his level 6 on top. He's finished up his Tranquil Boots, which are coming out in the Courier at the moment. So you can add Visage Birds, and you have to remember, it's the Drow and Visage combo while you're on Dire side. Popping into the Roshan pit and bringing this down is actually quite simple for them. And with the Queen of Pain having that nice area of effect burst damage, you can prep with Sentry Wards. It'll be very difficult to try and counter that. Even with Cold Down from the Gyro or potential Tombstone from the Undying, it's still a level 1 Tombstone. It's not that scary.
No, not at all. Pass is not getting much this
look
game.
Look at the ping. I love it when... Actually, I don't know if that's actually coming from N0tail or not. So I'm wondering if... Yeah, it's actually coming in from N0tail. Because you should be watching your experience gain right now, and Illidan should know this is not enough. He has to have that bounty on top of him.
Middle tower is under attack.
Oh. We'll see if N0tail tries to make the play. He doesn't have enough damage, and Illidan knows this. Even if bounty's there, he won't be able to solo him. So he's still just taking the farm. Moving away. But this game plan for VP is definitely coming together. Like, they're not very, very far ahead on gold. It's about 2,500 and 1,500 XP, so not the greatest of leads. It's just, overall, this is the kind of early game flow you want with this Drow Visage strat. You don't have to win the lanes massively. If you do, it's awesome, obviously. But they're cruising toward that 20-25 minute mark when their lineup gets extremely powerful with high-level aura and a couple of core items.
Well, they can basically just 5-man it in. Even if it's on a Mask of Madness build and you get a Helm with the Dominator, you can get Narfwolf behind the VP lineup. Your damage goes through the roof. And you can just 5-ball down like towers. And what do you got from Cloud9? Like, what's Cloud9 going to do in response? They got some decent counter push as well as counter fight. But if they lose that, then VP is going to walk through their buildings.
Absolutely. I dare say they have to kind of win a team fight in the next 5 to 10 minutes, else it's just going to be too difficult. I think they need to play from ahead.
They're smoking up. They gave Misery a lot of space. He has his level 6, so Finger of Death is available, and they're looking for their smoke gank. What else we got coming out from the Courier? It's coming down to God, try and help him on his way to the Orca. They can take out both right now if they want to. God initiated on, stunned, and just destroyed. The bounty being involved, but no level 6, so there's no track bonus. And FNG wants to slow this down. He's got Fadebolt available. So I'll take away a little bit of the damage, but this tier 1 tower is lost.
That's a really, really good kill for them. I'm not sure they get the tower,
fight.
actually.
Fader, there's the cold arrows, but he's got a haste rune available. So he'll just run himself away to safety and even find a regeneration rune to boot. There's N0tail who's the one getting charged in mid. FNG's not close enough to it, and Phobos, he knows he can't dive underneath that tier 1 tower. It would be suicide to do so. But the Visage is taking out the tier 1 tower while they're doing all that.
And he's closing in on a medallion as well for Lil. I think that's the Roshan play that they're preparing for. It's obviously great on Visage in general for fights and everything, but I think that's the primary reasoning for now. Question is if he wants to build into an Axe after that, or if he just gets the Crest, which I think is very, very good against the Radiant lineup. Even though both Shadow Fiend and Gyro like to get MKBs, the timing he could have it at could really secure their high ground push.
Yep.
Oh, maybe they don't want Medallion for Roche. Maybe they just
they could do it by
with
himself.
Morbid Mask.
It's fine. It's fine. All that life still in the world. Roshan's not bashing Illidan at all. But C9 are coming in to finish up this mid tower. It's within deny range, so they want to ensure they get it. No fortification available for VP, so the tier 1 tower will drop. N0tail still just stalking Lil on this top. If they TP up there to kill him, then Illidan 100% has Roshan. And most that, like, Xenon are probably considering that Illidan's just inside of his own jungle. This missed call wouldn't really have come out.
It's a really smart way of doing this. You're absolutely right. Like, it's a very difficult read on the map for Cloud9 to make right now, especially after they just got that mid-tier 1 and just like, okay, they're going to concede that tower anyway. It doesn't really tell them that there's a chance of this Roshan happening. They grab it here. They grab the medallion too on Visage. They give the Aegis to the G Quap actually over Illidan, who... Curious to see what Illidan goes for. I think it's going to be the Yasha. If you wanted Madness, he could have bought it now.
Yeah.
Just get some more agility, help your team get stronger, and then BKB.
This is also easy with the lifesteal. Let you do Roshan, but you can do things like this where you go for your Ancients, and when the fight begins on top lane, TP in behind the tier 1 tower or TP into the tier 2 tower, or go, in fact, for direct trades. They don't even need to fight Cloud9. Virtus.Pro still have this mid-game window you were talking about where they don't want to fight up against Cloud9 because it gives Cloud9 a big window of opportunity to try and take the momentum in this game. Instead, you just you split push it, or you take the trade-offs for something like a tier 1 tower in the mid.
I don't know if they're going to get that, though.
No, they're a little bit late to the party. But FNG's waiting. Phobos is around the corner. God's also here, and they can see Misery back behind the lines. Then again, they really hit this tower hard. The Draw Aura was triggered. But you've got coming in from behind is Big Daddy. FNG's waiting for him, though. They have the sentry ward down, so if Notal tries that, he would have gone down.
So they do trade. And where do they go from here? Illidan has the gold for Yasha. He's not buying it yet. Makes me wonder if he wants to go straight for BKB, which I think might be a little bit overkill on the defensive side. But, or maybe he wants a Scotty. Then he could buy an orb right now. He's heading to the secret shop. There we go.
Bob.
Could also be the Manta, of course.
Yep. So multiple options.
Maybe he's just keeping options.
It gives him good strength for now. The rest of DK, though, they're just running, Phobos running in after pass. The Tombstone will drop, and then the Familiars as well as Lil focus on the Sonic Wave. Hits beautifully over on pass, but God needs time to get away. Then again with the Gust, Eternal Envy being controlled. The Familiar's right behind him. It's 2 for 0 trade up. In fact, Fader stranded in the middle of nowhere, charging down a double kill for Lil. And he's having a fantastic time on this Visage. While Misery runs away, he's got an unwanted friend, and Notal is in fact tracked. Rubik was able to steal track during that fight.
Yeah, he got it on the Shadow Fiend, and there were like 3 or 4 heroes killing him, so a nice bit of bonus bounty for that. And the second track cast of the fight was, of course, in the bounty himself. So,
and one fight win. Visage burst push with the rest of VP. It doesn't take them long to bring down these buildings.
And it was a really beautiful initiation as well, where they like charged the Undying, so the obvious response from Cloud9 is, okay, they're targeting our Undying. And then he nether strikes the Shadow Fiend instead, and the fight gets like split in 2. And Quap gets a really good bling in behind, hits 3 or 4 heroes with the Sonic Wave. And they just split that up very, very beautifully. Because if there's one thing Cloud9's lineup doesn't like here, it's if they can't lock on to 1 or 2 targets with their like big combo of Requiem and Cooldown, their cooldowns kind of go to waste. And only Lion here is really good for single targeting someone out. And he didn't even get to use Finger that fight.
Right. So things going wrong during the fight. Now Illidan's taking away the stacks of Cloud9's Ancients with the help of Lil. And Lil's enjoying this too. He is going to go for that Aghanims build. So he's already got the point booster on himself. But the fact that Illidan's got so much money, maybe it will just be the direct Skadi. He's got 1,500 gold on this Drow Ranger. And now almost, well, I'm not going to say soloing up Fader. He's just trying to zone him out of the lane. But at the same time, Notal's running in. And Illidan's going to watch this, because he's going to lose his extra bonus. And yep, there's your attack. Tracker's up, support, no TP in from Virtus.Pro. And in fact, Illidan now is trying to juke it around the trees. Obviously not really possible when you got track on you, but he's keeping his distance away from the SF. Notal still sticking with it, but God jumps in, chasing down the Undying. Fader being knocked back by that Nether Strike. They keep going Phobos. Can he get another bash? Yes, he can. There's that 17% with the Soul Assumption damage. They'll find the kill for Lil. And, well, VP becomes a 1-for-1 trader. You still lost Illidan. That's not the greatest thing in the world, but God jumps up, goes for Misery. Orchid is available. He's got to stop it before the finger will trigger off the Aegis. It already does, though. The cooldown making it impossible for DK to chase, but Misery being picked up and thrown back down again by the Rubik. Virtus.Pro finding pickoff after pickoff.
And that's what that's really what G wanted. He got more out of that than... You know, it's not just that he gets the kill on the line, it's that he gets to use the Aegis that else would have just given him regen. It was about to expire. So he forces out a Finger of Death, which is now on a 2-minute cooldown. It's definitely going to help them when it comes to their next push here. And they're just outclassing Cloud9 right now. from start to finish, they've been leading the game the whole time, or to finish, I say. It's obviously not over yet, but from start till now, every single exchange, there is how many bumps up on the graph? Like,
there's a couple of spikes.
A couple, and they're like 100 gold each or something.
It's
not a lot.
You're not going to write home about that. Yeah, it's been a rough run for Cloud9 in this game. But this is also what we're looking at with VP. Right? It's even better for Virtus.Pro because their window of push power is coming a lot earlier than I thought it was going to. That's why I was predicting a little bit later in the game, because this Visage is getting a lot bigger, a lot quicker. Like, was he now picked up? Actually, he's not. He's going for a talisman. We're getting evasion over on Lil.
Right, did he get the talisman?
Yeah, he bought the it's on the courier.
Yeah, so that's the crest.
Yep.
Not sure what the reasoning is. I think, you know, if you do the math for it and what you get out of it, as far as pushing power goes, like the trade-off is, do I want evasion on my carry that's hitting the tower, or do I want an extra bird hitting the tower? And I think maybe for the purpose of keeping Illidan safe, this might be a better option. Especially if he's not going the BKB route, which it looks like he's not, then they need other ways of keeping him safe, and Crest is definitely a good solution.
Yeah, God's going the BKB route so he can take care of himself.
Yep.
So Lil plays babysitter to the Drow Ranger. Well, here goes your tier 1 tower on top. At the same time, Cloud9 brought a lot of players down to the bottom lane. They do have an observer ward up on top of the hillside. FNG is waiting for that bounty hunter to come in close on the tier 2. But this is a straight tower trade-off now for Virtus.Pro. Like, you're going to lose a tier... Well, you're already taken a tier 1 tower and you haven't lost your tier 1 tower on bottom. In fact, what do we get stolen again? It's flat cannon for FNG. Not really what he's hoping for.
I think he just got whatever spell he could. Because even if it's not great...
Charge coming up to Envy. Phobos can be careful. He goes directly into the Nether Strike, but the Tombstone's already down. The perfect stun with a cooldown. Phobos is dead here. And the rest of Virtus.Pro can't keep chasing, or can they? The Shadow Strike goes out in the Alpha Wolf. Only Skull will be able to ensure the kill on that, while Visage is actually solo killing the SF on top lane. Lil just did it all by himself.
Wait, what?
Yo, that just happened. Familiars and Solar, like, just goodbye Fader. He doesn't have a BKB, but he has a mech charge.
He did use the bird resummon, so he must have, like... He must have engaged with Grave Chill, put on the crest, hit with the birds, dropped them both, then resummoned and done it again. This guy is... He plays a good Visage, I heard.
And he's doing all of that with lag behind him. Terrific. And he didn't even have the Drow Ranger aura helping him, because it was already triggered before that fight began, so...
No, I think... Wait.
It's on 86 and it's 120 cooldown.
Yeah, it works for 30, though. So
it might have been the tail end of it.
Yeah, I think so. He killed the Shadow Fiend more than 10 seconds ago, right? It must be, because he has 27 death time. So they definitely did use the Drow Aura for that.
Okay.
But yeah, still, like, even with Drow Aura, that is not an easy kill to pull off against the Shadow Fiend with mech. So he must have played that really beautifully.
Well, now with the SF dead, 8.1k. This BKB is being delayed for the SF too. Like, this is his farm time. It's not just the fact that, like, he lost a little bit of money. He's got enough for the Mithril Hammer, but he needs that time to farm up the recipe, so he's ready to fight. But Virtus.Pro, like, they're not giving him the window of opportunity. Like, we were saying this before with our wonderful fill time we had before this game began, was the fact that Virtus.Pro, like, all you gotta do is just add a little bit of pressure and try and exploit the fact that Puss is a stand-in for Cloud9. They will, like, under pressure, they're gonna crumble a lot more.
I think he's played fine. I honestly wouldn't blame this at all on the stand-in factor. I don't know, maybe they would have picked another hero if it was Bone7 playing, but I think Puss is playing the offlane on the Undying, and this game was fine.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculously difficult.
It's just then the rotations which come in and, like, knowing when all this is going to go down. Is that again? He just got another solo kill on Gyrocopter this time around. Actually,
he's solo killing the enemy team's carries.
Phobos charged in.
But he didn't. Did he ever reach him?
Phobos charged in. That was it.
Well, he didn't. Okay, so he did reach the charge, but he didn't use another strike for it.
I don't know if God also just missed a kill on bottom lane, if I just missed that one, but he triggered his BKB in Orchid, so I'm assuming he just went for a kill.
On the SF, I guess. Yeah, Fata poured it out.
Yep.
So, close call.
Mech charge, TP scroll done.
Lil almost has Ags now as well. We were talking about should he go Ags or Solo Crest. And
why not both?
The Solo Crest has set him up for 2 solo kills on Shadow Fiend and Gyro, who are the richest heroes on the Radiant. So he gets so much gold from that.
And Virtus.Pro is going to be even more happy once they realize the Roshan timer. He spawns in 10 seconds from now. So they'll have another Aegis the Immortal 22 minutes into this game. God's waiting for a little bit of help on bottom lane to have another crack at Fader, but he committed the Sonic Wave previously. So there's not enough bonus damage here. In fact, it's more of a trap. Cloud9 are smoked up and they're moving over towards Roshan. So there's your Scream, Blink, TP out. Cloud9 waste their smoke time searching for the Queen of Pain, while the rest of Virtus.Pro now move back out to farming.
I think, could they have got that kill if Shadowfiend didn't walk in for the raise first? Because Misery has a Blink on his Lion. I think he could have definitely opened that for them and they might have missed an opportunity.
But they didn't know. He was an invis.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see it at the point.
He was walking directly next to SF, so we had no vision of him whatsoever.
And then he just blinked out of invis,
yep.
Or when it was about to expire.
He screamed, then blinked out to the trees and TP'd out.
Okay, so he knew it was coming. Well, they're still losing the tower, so at least this is something for Cloud9.
But can they go for more here? Like, Big Daddy, he's just scouted out the fact that Roshan's available.
Oh, this is a long charge. It's going to give them pretty good information before he reaches... Okay, he canceled it already. Interesting.
Didn't want to go all the way in. Maybe also a bit of a misclick.
I don't know why he would cancel it already then, instead of following at least into the middle of the river.
It does seem a little off. Well, there's your Aghanim, 24 minutes in. He's a 6.05 on Visage.
He is the 4th highest net worth. He's out farming the gyro by 1,000
Smoke's going to break. Fade up, moves to the tree line, but they already found Eternal Envy. No BKB to protect him, and what do we get? Stolen? Well, a Soul Rip hitting so hard in the pass. It's already 3 on the sidelines. Visage found the SF once again, and in fact, they found Misery in the corner. The bash to finish him off. Notel's the sole survivor, but now VP go in. They take Roshan, and they'll just prepare themselves. They could even go high ground at this point. They are so strong that they could just run down the bottom lane and go for it.
They used nothing in that fight apart from the resummon on birds. They have all their ultimates still. So I think...
And he wanted to resummon anyway because he picked up the Aghanim Scepter. So he was wanting to have the 3 birds up anyway.
There we go.
Perfect.
It's going to go the way of Illidan. I do think they can just high ground right now, but they might want to wait until Illidan gets his next item, so he's tanky. I wouldn't mind seeing the Skadi on him. It could also still be the BKB, of course, but...
They may as well just go for, like, almost game-ending items. I don't know if you'd really want to go... you can go for, like, Chrysalis, like something like that, or build into the Monkey King bar. Other options, just get the Demon Edge. Just look for that raw damage, because right now VP are in a position where they can just push high ground anyway. So... Zero cares has been given. He's got no immunity. The familiar stuns and the charge in. Just an inch out too far, and they punish him for it. Even going to come in for the tombstone. Illidan just stands his ground. He's got Mana Style and Aegis. Like, why does he even have to care? There is no Gyrocopter. He has buyback available, and now we'll use it. But Fade's already down a half-life, and the big Sonic Wave. Fade is winding up the ulti. There's no bash of Phobos to interrupt it. And the call down, Illidan, he picks up the Mana Style and Envy. He can't find anything out of the base. It's a dieback for Eternal Envy, and the rest of them are running out. But how much life have you got? You got Lil Soul Summoning down, Faded with the Scream. They find the kill. It's a double kill for God. Even Notel being stunned up for the moment. There's no gem available, but they call GG. 25 minutes and 42 second GG call out from Cloud9. Virtus.Pro, they end in style, and they end so convincingly. Wow.
I could see Milk's face right now. He's so happy. That's what I said, 25 minutes. I know. I know, right?
That's how it is. But he doesn't even have his winning smirk on.
He's still trying to get himself back in the seat. He didn't even believe his own victory.
No, I mean, I expected him to be like right in front of the desk at 25 minutes, giving us the "I told you so" smile, but that didn't happen. Oh, and yeah, I mean, we still see smiley faces by Cloud9, so it's all good.
You won by 42 seconds, Jacob. Actually.
Yeah, I know. So the thing is, I was sitting talking with Capitalist and Hani, and you know, then the end push came, and then I realized, oh, I'm here to work. Oh, right. we were kicking back, sitting on the couch over there, and just analyzing the game for pleasure, and then I have to go here and also do it for pleasure, but.
Well, then tell us, what did you analyze when you sat down with those two guys?
So pretty much what I expected happened. After watching the draft, basically, there was the risk of Cloud9 laning this way as they did, and then because if you had a bounty hunter as the designated offlane hero, he'd be a lot harder to kill because he could just run around. They wouldn't technically know if he was getting experience or not, and he could do whatever he really wanted to. But if you put an Undying there, you sort of commit to it, and it's a semi-easy kill if you don't let him amass too much strength and everything. So he died early on. Dro gets enough gold going and experience on the supports and everything, and then they died again and so forth, and really snowballed out of control pretty early on. Then on top of G doing really well on mid against Vader's Shadow Fiend, sort of what we expected as well. That needed to happen post 5 minutes of level 5, sorry. And so it was the scenario that I had in my head when we did the predictions went according to plan, basically, you know. They take the early advantage, they never let go, they keep on pressuring them the same way Troll said they would, and then they just finish the game, basically. There was very little mishaps in how they played it out. Whenever they did kill trades, they would get the upper hand of it, you know. If they gave away 1 kill, they would get 3. So just, you know, the execution that Virtus.Pro needed to do, pretty straightforward game, I'd say. Nothing like the EG-ID game that we did.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we discussed prior to this game was, will the stand-in be a factor? Is it a factor that Bone7 isn't here and Pass is standing in for him? At around 20 minutes, Syndren said during the cast that he doesn't feel that the stand-in really mattered that much. He doesn't feel like it would have gone another way if it would have been Bone7 rather than Pass.
He still played well. Like, he still played well. Like, Illidan was hunting for him to start with, and like, if it was going badly, he probably would have died a hell of a lot more than he actually did. And he still did his job in the team fights. The problem was just the momentum of the entire team.
And a question of draft, I think.
I think the draft.
Yeah. It's an impossible task for anyone to go up as a melee hero up against a tri-ranged hero that has 1 lockdown and 2 slows. You know, how do you run away from that?
And then that's the question, right? How big of an impact does it have that Bone is not drafting? Because we can talk about the whole offlane situation, but if they would have had a totally different draft with Bone7 there, maybe that would have taken the game in an entirely different direction. Maybe they banned Visage or Drow or both, or, you know, he has some different ideas.
Do you guys feel like Visage Draw, considering like how much success VP has and still has, I'm getting really confused here. They are very successful with the combination of Visage and Draw, and also, as you pointed out during the drafts, with Visage itself as well. They played him 11 times over the last like 50 games or something, and they won like the majority of those games too. Do you feel like that's 2 heroes you don't really want to get into their hands?
I feel like the Bounty Hunter was really weak. Like, I think if they had Rubik instead, they could have actually dealt with the Visage Drow, or at least maybe try and slow down some of the pushes. And I think Rubik's a lot more useful if he gets shut down. Or like the Bounty Hunter really.
I was saying this early in the draft already. I expected an Earthshaker to come out just because you needed that early game support that could tie the game together for you, both in terms of 5 and 5, but surely also to sort of negate dying on the lanes, because there's nothing better than to break a go attempt on a hero than a Fissure. It's by large and far the best counter interaction spell.
What do you guys think went into, like, what was the thought process behind picking the Bounty Hunter? Because Bounty Hunter it's a risky pick, right?
Cloud9 has always done it though. Back with their old supports with Pily Die, he would play the 4 Bounty Hunter, 5 even. And we've seen No-Tail do it as well several times, so it wasn't really that surprising. It's
a weak opener versus a Quap.
Yeah, you just have to question whether or not it's actually a good idea.
They might have gone in with they might have gone in with the mentality, we're going to play Virtus.Pro, they're a really aggressive team, there's going to be a lot of kills, we want to have track.
Yeah.
But that's a really one-dimensional way of looking at the first 2 picks when you go in, because Bounty is not good unless you can force that type of game. Like, what if Virtus.Pro just don't want to play that game? Exactly what they did. They just went 5-man push. Bounty sucks against this, let's be honest. He really doesn't deal well with
I want to quote Syndren at this point of time and say it could have been amazing. That's just
it was pretty far from amazing this game. I mean, it could have been, but
it's also a beautiful lineup for Rubik to play against. There's a lot of stuff that you can really utilize to your advantage. You know, you can take the track from the Bounty Hunter, obviously. You can take the Tombstone from the Undying. Very easy to get unless he ultimates, and even then, you know, getting an Undying ultimate isn't the worst thing in the world either for Rubik. And then Lion, you know, unless he has Mana Drain, then there's like a Rubik getting Hex, Impale, Finger of Death, any of those things, incredibly strong. So I feel like it was a great game for a Rubik player.
Now let's actually take a look at the brackets to see where we're standing right now as the second game on this stream at least. Hashtag's finished and the other game also already went by. It was a very dominant game by VG Gaming. Fnatic didn't see much light at the end of the tunnel there. So they dropped down and they will be facing a Cloud9 who just lost against the guys from Virtus.Pro. Virtus.Pro will move on facing VG Gaming. That's going to be a very interesting game to see. Team Secret and Invictus Gaming are also facing up against each other, as well as Alliance and Evil Geniuses. And once more, of course, if you have any predictions, as we are doing that on the desk ever so often before the games, make sure to let us know. Make sure to tweet at us, and you can find us and catch us on the social medias you can see right now on your screens. Make sure to let us know what you're thinking about the teams, the games, and everything to do with the ESL One Frankfurt. And we should be back with the next game after a quick break.